As a fan who's grown up with Sheldon Cooper, I must say that his journey from avoiding dining tables to embracing them symbolizes a beautiful evolution of this complex character. It's fascinating to see how Sheldon's life experiences, particularly his relationship with his father, have molded him over the years. In the sitcom The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon consistently refused to have a dining table in his and Leonard's apartment. This preference stems from a poignant backstory revealed in Young Sheldon. By the time the show began in 2007, actors Jim Parsons and Johnny Galecki were living together off-screen. The specifics of how they became roommates were initially disclosed, but as their shared passions for science and pop culture are well known, they managed to find a common ground when it came to decorating their living space. And after The Big Bang Theory concluded, Leonard and Penny occupied the larger apartment, while Sheldon shifted to live with Amy nearby, despite Sheldon no longer residing there. Apartment 4A taking them 4, and then remained unaltered, as his friends respected his sentiments about altering his old dwelling. Interestingly, the absence of a dining table in the bigger unit, a consistent Big Diary, was never changed. Not only that Young Sheldon explains is stemming from Sheldon's reasons, particularly the developer that Mr. is turned it on FIPC. Sheldon wrote itself, film sports. The Cooper family meals played a significant role in the narrative of Young Sheldon. These meals served as a means to bring the whole family together at the end, in one of the war-separate areas of the day, fostering interaction among them. As the series progressed towards its conclusion, these dinners became less frequent due to the children perceived the family. Georgie often spent time with Mandy, while Sheldon stayed over at school. Nevertheless, the Cooper family meals were a significant part of Sheldon's childhood, an era we came to an abrupt end with a heartbreaking event, George's untimely death. It's plausible that Sheldon in The Big Bang Theory avoided having a dining table because he disliked changes in his environment. During an episode of the show centered around the intellectuals, his friends suggested that a dining table would make it more convenient for them to enjoy their meals together. Despite having space for a table near the window, Sheldon resisted adding furniture, citing his aversion to change and his preference for staying on the couch. In typical fashion, Sheldon managed to have his desires met, and others eventually stopped trying to change his mind. Over time, this behavior became one of his well-known traits. However, upon watching Young Sheldon, which provided a closer look at the socially awkward genius's childhood, it appears that Sheldon's reluctance to have a dining table might stem from a desire to avoid being reminded of family dinners. Although those memories were cherished, the painful loss of his father made recalling them difficult for him. And despite his genius, Sheldon has always had an issue processing his emotions. This was further proven in the Young Sheldon finale flash-forward sequence, where he finally admits that George wasn't a bad dad, as he previously suggested. Interestingly, however, he arrived at this conclusion, even when he continued to believe that his father cheated on his mother, something that Young Sheldon Season 7 undid. That said, at the time of The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon's refusal to get a dining table could be his coping mechanism for avoiding processing his conflicting feelings about his father. But it turned out that Sheldon, who previously seemed unwilling to have a dining table, no longer held this view when living with Amy. The two had been dating for quite some time before moving into Penny's old apartment together. After some persuasion from Amy, she was successful in convincing her longtime boyfriend to share a living space with her. Amy once settled, Sheldon and Amy began regularly dining at the table already present in their flat, indicating a shift in Sheldon's perspective regarding meal times in a formal setting. In a similar vein, Sheldon's evolving perspective on the dining table in The Big Bang Theory mirrored his character's gradual processing of deep emotions stemming from his childhood experiences and
by the end of the show, Sheldon had softened his rigid views about his father, George. He expressed missing him during his wedding and acknowledged that George was instrumental in solving the puzzle that led to his Nobel-winning paper. This development suggested that Sheldon was coming to terms with his past as depicted in young Sheldon prior to moving to California.